Hello, my friends. Hello. Welcome to the show that never ends. Come inside. Come inside. All right, boys and girls, we got another video going here, and we're going to talk about the characteristics of a market system. All right, so we're going to go through a market system, right? We have market systems, we have a communist system, we have what's called a traditional system. We'll get into all that. We're going to start off with some of the characteristics of a market system. First characteristic is it must be private property, right? You must be able to own the good and other people can't just take it. Best example I can give you is the buffalo who roamed free and anyone could shoot them. So there was no, they weren't considered private property. Therefore, people were able to just take it. We have freedom of enterprise and choice. I can open up an Amazon. I can open up a pet rock. Who does a pet rock? Right? Ask me about that in class. Pet rock. I can sell that if that's what I want to do because I have the freedom of enterprise. I'm out to make money. Okay, Miss Cerise, she's out to help people. We're out to make money. Self-interest. There's going to be competition when we're in a market system. The market's going to set the prices. All right, market and prices. But let's look at some countries. We have Australia, Switzerland, and the UK. All right, these are characteristics of a market system. Now let's look at the 2021 Index of Economic Freedom. What does that mean? Freedom is the fundamental right of every human to control his or her own labor and property. In an economically free society, individuals are free to work, produce, consume, and invest in any way they please. Right? The less you have of that, the less free you are. So let's look. What are the top countries that have free, right? Free markets. Singapore, number 1. New Zealand, number 2. Australia, number 3. Okay, now look at mostly free. Canada is at 77.9. The United States is at 74.8. They're at number 20 for a country that brags about how free we are. Coming in below Canada is a little suspect, right? Now here's the thing though. Look it up now, and I bet you the United States is even less free. I bet you that number is probably 25 or 26. Then we're going to look at the mostly unfree. That's Nigeria, China, Afghanistan. Afghanistan is a 146. That's 6 slid down a little bit there. Right? So you see these countries and you go, all right, it makes sense. Nigeria, China, Afghanistan. Right? Look at those numbers. They're real low. Then we get to the repressed. With the repressed, we have Iran, Cuba, and North Korea. None of them should surprise you. North Korea's number is a little out there. 5.2. Talk about not being free. I mean, that is bad. They have no say, no sir. Okay, now we want to look at 2 hypothetical economies. We have Presentville and Futureville. Talked about this a little bit, right? What causes one to grow faster than the other? The one that grows faster is the one that's producing capital and being able to have goods in the future. Giving up goods in the present, to have more goods in the future. So let's look at things. What's going to get us there? Technology and capital goods. Advanced technology and capital goods are encouraged for economic freedom, right? We want to talk about specialization, division of labor, tree graphic specialization. Sometimes depending on where you are will determine what you can grow. Or make, I should also say. Should government be involved in the economy is the question that's going to come up. So let's explain that. We want an active but limited government. Government has to have some involvement. Otherwise, companies will take advantage of the consumers. Government may need to alleviate market failures. Government can also increase the effectiveness of a market system. Some of the stuff that they do is like antitrust, where they don't let monopolies dictate to people who need the goods, right? So we have basic questions that every economy has to ask. There are 5, used to be 3, we're now at 5 fundamental questions. What goods and services should be produced? Okay. Second question, how will the goods and services be produced? Who will get the goods and services? How will the system accommodate change? And how will the system promote progress? All right, let's do the first question. How do economies determine what will be produced? Right? Goods and services are produced to create a profit. So what's going to happen is consumers will determine with their dollars what gets produced and what doesn't get produced. Right? We call it dollar votes. Consumers determine which goods will be produced. They also determine which ones will fail. Some really good products, like back in the day we had VHS and Beta. Beta was the better product. It failed. Okay? Even though it was a good product, the people decided they wanted VHS. All right, how do economies determine how will the goods be produced? Okay? Again, self-interest, it's about profit. Minimize the cost per unit by using the most efficient techniques, such as technology, the price of the necessary resources. Things like those will help us determine how to produce the good. Price of the necessary resources, just throw that out there real quick. In China, they're liable to produce things using more labor because labor is cheaper. In the United States, we're likely to use more capital and technology because labor is more expensive. Okay? How do economies determine who will get the output? Can you guess this one, folks? Consumers with the ability and willingness to pay get the product. Ability to pay depends on income, right? That's going to determine who gets what. All right, how do economies determine how will the system change? So now we start to get into questions 4 and 5, right? Well, what happens is things will change in the system as changes in consumer taste happen, as changes in technology happen, changes in resource prices. When Chinese workers start demanding higher wages, they will start to switch to use more technology, more capital, because it will be cheaper for them. But until that happens, they're not going to make those changes. All right, and then I believe the last question, how do economies determine how will the system promote progress? All right, it will promote progress through technological advances. Now there's creative destruction, right? Creative destruction means we are destroying things that are good to build newer things. What does that mean? Well, let's tear down the VCR factory, the factory where they make VCRs, which is running fine. There's nothing wrong with it. People aren't buying those goods. Let's destroy it and put it up with something else. Capital accumulation is the next thing that will help promote progress. Now, here's the thing. In the parentheses, write capital stock. The AP loves to say capital stock. Capital accumulation is the amount of capital we have. So the more capital a country has, the more they're able to produce goods and services. Okay, so just again, a capital accumulation should be capital stock when you're questioned on it. All right, a couple things to talk about. The invisible hand. We're going to get into this when we get into supply and demand. It's a concept that came from Adam Smith in 1976, his book, The Wealth of Nations. Okay, it was the unity of private and social interest. He promoted the virtues of the market system, which were efficiency, incentives, freedom. Okay, incentives are important because that's what motivates people to want to do things. All right. Next, we talked about this real briefly in the beginning. Communism, which is also called command. Why did communism fail? So let's just go through this real quick. Communism or command was in the Soviet Union, Eastern Europe, and China. The system was a failure because there was a coordination problem, right? They set output targets. They didn't let the people determine what they wanted. The government, which was supposed to be the people, determined how much should be there. There was no incentive, so there was an incentive problem. If there's a surplus or shortage, people's actions will then determine what should be produced and not produced. In a command society, that did not happen. Okay? So those are your 5 questions that are being answered. We're talking about a free market or a command system. To be honest with you, most places now we're looking at it as a command system. Okay? The next thing we'll go to, which will be the next video, is going to be a thing called the circular flow. But I don't want to make this video too long, so we will stop it here at about 10 minutes or so. All right? Okay, boys and girls. If you don't like this video, go see Mr. Clifford. Talk to him. Alright, boys, girls, ladies, gentlemen, people of all ages. Talk to you later.